Okay, so this video is going to get you to test whether you actually know all these diagrams. Please have a go at it. Don't do the thing where you just watch it and go, oh, I know it. Actually have a go. Right, before we start doing the diagrams, I'm going to come up with a bit of gold here that will confuse some of you, but it's really important, okay? So it's to do with your diagram, right? The only time you're ever going to draw your AS line, like SRAS, so that straight line like that, the only time you're ever going to draw it like that is if there's been a change in the cost of production. Almost all the other times, instead of doing this diagram like this, I'm just going to make it smaller, I'll put it in the corner somewhere. There we are. Okay, now there's going to be a different diagram you're going to do now, right? You only ever do that diagram for the SRAS. But if in any way you're doing another diagram, which is say maybe AD shifting, or you're doing the long run AS diagram, you're going to do your line like this curvy one. Now in theory, the reason why it's curvy like this is it's included this bit here, this bit between here and here, that is meant to be the short run one, and it's kind of like the short run AS like that. So it's kind of like a normal short run AS line. It also includes this straight bit here, which is the long run AS. So it's basically putting both diagrams together. It's putting the short run AS with the long run AS. And it looks posher. And we want to look as posh as possible, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to try and explain it. Say I wanted to change AD. I'd draw my AS line like this. I'd have one AD line on. Then I'd put my second AD line on there. Right? So whenever I'm changing AD now, I'm always using that AS line, the curvy one. Now this curvy one is called the Keynesian AS line. You don't really need to know that, but that's what it is. Okay. Now another way you could do it is say you wanted to increase long run AS. Before you used to do this. You used to have LRAS like this, and then LRAS like this. And you'd have your AD line going through it like that. Now you're not going to do that anymore. Instead of doing that one, you're going to do this one. You're going to have a curvy line like that, which will say AS. Then you'll do a second curvy line called AS2. So it's AS1 and AS2. Then you'll put your AD line through it like that. And you'll have your dotted lines as normal. Okay? Now this diagram will get you more marks in the exam. It will make you look cleverer. And that's basically the key to everything. Okay, so, right, to conclude this, in every diagram you're pretty much ever going to do in economics now, to do with this, you're going to be using this curvy line. You're going to be using this because it works when you shift in AD and it also works when you shift in long run AS. The only time that curvy line doesn't work is when you're doing the SRAS. So that's the only time you'll ever see this straight line. And you're actually only ever going to do that in something called cost push inflation. So it really isn't that important, that straight line one. It's mainly important for two reasons. One, for the multiple choice, and secondly, for that cost push inflation that I'm going to be teaching you later. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. Right, this is a video that tests whether you actually know what we've just seen in the last three videos. Some of the smug lot amongst you might just say, well, I haven't even bothered watching the videos because I already know the stuff. But you have to check these questions and see whether you actually know them. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first of all say to you, can you just try and draw that on a piece of paper? So you've got price level and real GDP. And I'm going to put down three factors. I don't know why there's that there. I'll put down three factors and you've got to decide which line gets shifted. So pause the video and draw a separate diagram for each one and try and decide which line shifts. So the three factors I'm going to give you is, I'm going to give you a increase in corporation tax. The second one I'm going to say is there has been a decrease in house prices. Whoops. Okay, and the third one I'm going to say is, the third one is firms have invested more. Oh, whoops. So there's been an increase in investment. Now try and decide what you're going to do with your diagrams. Okay, so pause the video, decide what you're going to do, and then I'm going to give you the answers. Right, have you all had a go? Now, I know some of you will have said, I haven't bothered pausing it, I'm just going to listen to you. That is not the best way to do it. It's better to actually have a go. So first of all, I'm going to do the diagram for corporation tax. So I do my beginning, which is going to be like that, AD, and SRAS. Right, and corporation tax increase in that makes the firm's cost of production goes down. So I've put my SRAS 2 here, do my dotted lines. Now I probably should have done the dotted lines earlier, but here we go. I've got P1, Y1, Y2, and then P2. Okay, so hopefully you were able to do that. Okay, right, in this next one, we were saying that house prices have gone down. And if house prices go down, people feel less wealthy. Now, if you feel less wealthy because your assets have gone down in value, you're less likely to spend, so consumer spending will go down, which means AD will go down. Right, some of you are going to do what you did last time, where you're going to put the SRAS like this, and then the AD line, and then you make AD go down like this. But from now on, we're better than that, as I said in that first bit. So instead of doing that, we're going to do price level as normal, real GDP. But this time, we're going to have our AS line curvy. Because whenever you shift into AD lines, you're going to have the AS line curvy. I'm going to explain why that's important in a minute, right? So that means AD has gone down. So AD was up here, and now AD's gone down to here. Right, okay, so I'll do some dotted lines. Right. What can we say now about the economy now people are spending less? We can say a couple of bad things, or three bad things that have happened. Well, one good thing, two bad things. So the good thing potentially is inflation might have gone down. So that's one positive maybe, that inflation might have gone down here. The bad things though is output, real GDP has gone down. Now if real GDP goes down, that also has a second problem. First of all, it means there's less growth in the economy. The second big problem is demand for labour is derived from demand for goods. So if there's less demand for goods, what will there be less demand for? Workers, which means there'll be an increase in unemployment. Okay? That's the diagram I want you to draw. Now I'm going to tell you why, just very quickly. This might not be for everyone. I'm going to say why that curvy line's better. So, look at this. If an economy went from... I'm going to do two diagrams here. We have an AS line like this. And it's a terrible diagram. I'm going with it anyway. Okay, so in this economy, AD's gone from here down to here. Right, how bad is that? That's clearly quite bad because, as you can see, Y's gone from there to there, which means there's been a massive decrease in the amount of goods that we're making. If there's a big decrease in the amount of goods we're making, we'll need a lot less workers. Now I'll just do another diagram here and show AD going down a different way. So now we've got our same line as before, but this time AD's gone from here to here. Now, even though AD's gone down, the country is still producing very near its full capacity, which is what that straight line shows. So has there been as big a problem? No, there hasn't, because actually output hasn't gone down that much. So the country isn't working that much within its full capacity. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the curvy line allows you to show that in certain situations, when AD goes down only a bit, when the economy was already quite working at full production, it's not actually that bad. Whereas if it goes down loads here and goes well below what the full capacity of the economy is, it's really bad. That might be a bit much, but I thought I'd say it anyway. Okay. Okay, with your third one, this actually came up in the multiple choice the other day. Very easy. There's actually two diagrams you need to do this. When investment goes up, your first diagram is to say, you would say price level and real GDP. And of course, you'll do that curvy AS line here because AD is shifting. And AD, if there was an increased investment, AD would go up like this. So we'd have AD1 going to AD2. So that'll be your first diagram, and this is what you'd be kind of saying is happening at first. You would actually say this is happening in the short run. Okay, so we say P1. Okay. So that's what happens when there's more investment. But the thing is, because investment is part of C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So that's why we have to say investment's happening in the short run. There's a second thing investment will do. Investment will increase the quantity, remember Q squared cell, increase the quantity of capital. Because, remember, whenever firms invest, that means that firms invest in capital goods. So, in the long run, this is going to happen. When firms invest, there will be I'll just do the second diagram. AS will go from there. You'll just put an AD line in like that. And in the long run, AS will go outwards like that. And you'll do your dotted lines as you normally would. Okay, now I know some of you are going to be sitting there thinking, why have you drawn two diagrams? Couldn't I put that in one diagram? Well, if you tried to do it in one diagram, you'd end up with this, right? You'd end up saying, and they sometimes do this in multiple choice, and you'll notice in multiple choice it looks really confusing. If you tried to do it on one diagram, you have your AS going out like this, and then you'd have your AD going like this, AD1, AD2, and you're working out where am I going to put my dotted lines. There's 4 places I could do dotted lines, and to be honest, I think it gets confusing. So the answer always is to draw 2 diagrams and explain each diagram in turn. That's always the answer. Okay, so if you could do that, you're doing pretty well. Now, just as a grand finale, there were 2 multiple choice questions that are going to come up, and you've got to see whether you can do them. Okay, pause the video and see whether you can do it, and I'll give you the answer. Okay, so what you always do with these things is you try and find the 2 points they're saying. So there's been a general rise in wages, wage costs, and there's been a rise in investment. Okay, so a general rise in wage costs we know is going to affect a firm's cost of production. So it's going to make the cost of production go down. Sorry, it's going to make your cost of production increase, which means they're going to end up producing less stuff. So the only 2 diagrams it can be is this one and this one. It can't be this one, and it can't be this one because that has them increasing. Because if wage costs go up, a firm's cost of production goes up, so they're going to supply less. So it can only be C or D. And the second thing is there's been a rise in investment. Now that is obviously because of C plus I plus G plus X minus M is going to make AD go up. So the answer's got to be D because AD's gone to the right and then C is wrong. Okay, pause this one first and have a go, and then I'll tell you the answer. Okay, so first of all, you start at X. This is where you start. And when it says all other things being equal, you just cross it off because it means nothing. Okay, what would be the new equilibrium position following a rise in productivity and increase in imports into a country? Okay, so productivity. If workers become more productive, a firm's cost of production will go down. So that means they're going to be able to supply more. Does that make sense? Because they're paying the exact same for these workers, but these workers are actually making more stuff because they're more productive. So we're now on this line. That's where we're at the minute. We're at this point here. Okay, so the second thing is there's been an increase in imports. Now we know imports, when we talk about C plus I plus G plus X minus M, we know imports are bad for aggregate demand. So if there's an increase in imports into a country, AD is going to be going down. So from this point, that X point that I did here, we need AD to go down. So we're going to shift from this line down to this line. Okay, and by doing that, we end up at U. So the answer is C.